Hey, at the end of this video, check out the new Phonedog.com homepage. And spin to win. Play the One-Pod Bandit. Win free phones. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah from Phonedog.com, and this is the T-Mobile myTouch 3G with Google. Avec le Google. What is up? This is the full review. I had this phone for a little while now. I've been testing it out. In the meantime, I've had the chance to try out some bunch of other new smartphones that came out. Perhaps the most relevant of which is this right here, the HTC Hero, the unlocked version that we got in the mail. And this is not a dogfight comparison, but hard not to take those phones into account when testing this thing out. And in a nutshell, it's easy to call this the best Android phone currently available in the United States because there are only two. Really, there's this and the G1, and I prefer this to the G1. Not everybody will. I personally do. I think it's a nice experience. I think if you don't do a lot of heavy emailing, this could be, the phone for you. My biggest complaint with it is with the virtual keyboard, and we'll get to that a little bit in a minute and talk a little bit about some things you can do to kind of get around that. Otherwise, it's a nice upgrade, I think, from the G1, not because it does anything that different. I mean, the specs are very similar, 3-megapixel camera, similar amount of memory and everything. Obviously, it's the same Android, and, you can upgrade the G1. I've got this app on it right now called Fresh Face, which is one of the apps in T-Mobile's new app pack, which basically is just a collection of apps they recommend to kind of enhance your experience. And this is cool. It kind of puts, this 5 home screen thing on here, and it downloads some widgets for you automatically, and then you get a weather widget. So I kind of customize it. I put the ESPN News widget on there, the FMO widget on there, and that kind of thing. But, it's kind of a nice way for the novice user who doesn't really, know how to deal with things or want to learn how to deal with things like which apps and widgets and all that. They can kind of easily choose from some themes. That's kind of cool. The app pack has some other nice stuff in it. It's got iMeme, which isn't... here, let's show you the app pack. It's not as good as like Pandora or even maybe Last.fm, but it is a way to get streaming music on there. Mobile backup, movies, My Account, iPhone Book, Sherpa, which we detailed at the myTouch 3G launch. Visual voicemail, which is cool. T-Mobile's visual voicemail now for Android, which it's visual voicemail. It's nice. It works. I tested it. I'm going to reinstall it here for you. And in general, the phone is nice. I really like the form. We'll get back to the phone for a second away from this new software. I really like the form factor here. It's lighter weight, a little bit less bulky than the G1. And for me, the G1's keyboard I wasn't crazy about. And so for me, I'd much rather have, this just feels much more pocketable to me, whereas the G1, the bulk of it made it something that I personally might not carry around and made it kind of more of a power user phone. And the keyboard compared to other power user phones like, the HTC Touch Pro 2, another HTC phone, just not nearly as good. The action on the keyboard on the G1, not really good. And a lot of reliability problems apparently with the keyboard, as our own phone dog John Walton has documented on his blog quite a bit. So this eliminates that problem, and Android 1.5, the Cupcake release, adds a virtual QWERTY. The virtual QWERTY is okay. The problem with it is that the screen, I think the biggest problem is that the screen isn't multi-touch. And so when you use a virtual keyboard on a multi-touch enabled phone like the iPhone or like the HTC Hero, it's a totally different experience because the screen can recognize if you're two-thumb typing in QWERTY mode, the screen can recognize when you're... Oh, okay, so I got back actually from, not to the Fresh Face install, but here's the regular home screen, and you can see I've got all my widgets, on one screen there. Didn't mean to jump around, but I've got the normal 3-screen view, and then if I go to Fresh Face, it's that 5-screen view, a little bit different. Anyway, what I was saying about the keyboard is that a multi-touch enabled display can sort of better track quick keyboard presses, especially if you're using two thumbs or two fingers in the widescreen view. So here's the virtual keyboard, and so there's the regular virtual keyboard in portrait mode, and then we go to landscape or widescreen mode, and it dims and changes. And now you've got the widescreen mode, and the screen's a little bit smaller than like an iPhone, so but it's not too bad. But the deal is that I just found that when I'm typing, once I kind of get into it, Oh, I guess I'm typing in the to field, so it's trying to make it a phone number. Whoops. Okay, let's do that here. So, you can see things like I didn't hit the space bar because I kind of went too fast and that kind of thing. And, just in a lot of use of this phone, especially for writing a lot of emails, I started to find it frustrating because things like that would happen, which, it happens once in a little demo. I write a sentence and there's one error where I wanted to say sheep space dog, and it autocorrected to sheepdog, and that's actually probably the right way to spell it as opposed to like that. But, one little error in one sentence, not a big deal. But if you're doing if you're just doing, kind of normal light messaging, not a big deal. If you're doing a lot of heavy emailing, that's when it becomes a big deal. And for me, using this phone as my daily phone and sending a lot of emails on it and hammering on it, it became frustrating using the keyboard. And I think the biggest problem with it is the lack of multi-touch support. That said, one of the things, and especially in comparison to the HTC Hero, which is a similar keyboard, although HTC made some nice refinements to it, but it is multi-touch enabled. Now, lots of rumors flying around about Android 2.0 supporting multi-touch, so hopefully it will. Hopefully we'll see that soon, and that will alleviate some of these problems, I think, and I hope, with the keyboard, especially for kind of faster typists or people like me who try to type fast, make mistakes anyway, and so then the better multi-touch system would at least cut down on the mistakes, if not fix all of them for me. That being said, one of the things that I like about Android's virtual keyboard as compared to something like the iPhone is the autocomplete, autocorrect system. On iPhone you get one choice and that's it. And you can see this in the iPhone versus Hero dogfight series of videos that I did. You can check those out for more detail on this. But on Android, you get a choice of words that it thinks you might be trying to type. So I might be QUIC. Most likely I'm typing quick, but, whoops. But it might be quiche, it might be quicken, it might be quickie, I might be getting a quickie quiche. I might quickly be trying to quicken my quiche so I can have it as a quickie. So it gives you all these different choices, and you can scroll through all of them and pick the one that you want. You can also, if it was QUIC that I was meaning to type, I can just press and hold. Whoops. I can press and hold on it, and now it's saved it to the custom dictionary. So it's a more sophisticated and I think better system than iPhones for the virtual keyboard. That said, though, the actual typing not quite as good. The screen's a little bit smaller than an iPhone, and again, not multi-touch like either an iPhone or the HTC Hero. Otherwise, it's pretty standard Android fare. If you're used to Android, you know what's going on here.